Wow, so I absolutely forgot about Mermaid 2020 this year. I wasn't seeing anything about it on Instagram, probably because I wasn't creating any art with those hashtags, or it hasn't been as popular this year due to the pandemic whole situation right now. So many factors. So I didn't think I'd be able to do every day, so I've just chosen a few of the prompts to make a video with. For the first sort of character design, I grabbed a couple that were furry, ashamed, and outcast. I thought they were an interesting three words that sort of go together. And for the second painting, it was just a single word, crustacean. The first one didn't really turn out that great. I didn't get anything out of it. The paper was really weird to work with, so feel free to just skip ahead onto the next one because that one was pretty fun to do. So with the first one, I thought from furry, I could use Selkie, which is like a seal mermaid type creature from Scottish folklore. After taping down the paper, I sketched out the pose and I chose like a cowering position because the prompts were ashamed and outcast. So he was feeling ashamed of his body and everything that's happening to it because he wasn't the same as everybody else. He was a silky and he had started to grow fur. I don't even know if that's what happens with silkies. I think they're a seal and they get turned into a human, then you take the skin and then they're your little human silky thing. It's weird. Anyway, my point is that he's ashamed and feeling outcast because he is covered in fur instead of skin and scales. Along those lines, because I didn't like the painting and I'm trying to figure out some deeper meaning behind it because I don't like the way the texture of the actual painting turned out. And I don't like these sort of paintings where it's just like a strange little character not doing much in the center of the page. They don't really do much for me. Righto, so the next mermaid design is from the prompt word crustacean. So obviously the first thing I thought of when I read crustacean is like prawns and crabs and that sort of thing. But I wasn't really sure how I felt about the whole prawn and crab combo because I remember from last year I did a prawn mermaid and it was creepy as. I don't know what the prompt was, but somehow I made a prawn out of it. So I wanted to try something out of the box. So like I've said before, if I need some more inspo, I usually go to Pinterest and just search for whatever it is the prompt word is. And if that doesn't work, I go right to the prompt word and dictionary it. And most of the time it works. Like just reading the actual definition of the word will give me like a spark of inspiration and I'll be like, huh, that's an interesting idea, I'll do that. So from the Pinterest search, I found mostly results on shrimp, prawns, crabs and lobsters, but I also found krill, which were pretty interesting because it was like super tiny. It's the stuff that whales live on. And then I thought I could try a whale mermaid, and I don't think I've ever seen a whale mermaid, like not on Instagram anyway. And we all know what Instagram's like, they only show us the popular artists. So if there's a little artist out there who made a whale mermaid, good idea. So first off, I did a really bad sketch of a whale. It was just in pen with no undersketch. Blue whale, humpback whale. And then I tried to design the human half of this character. I was going to do a long face, bold person because I thought it'd go well with the whole whale thing, how they're like long and obviously no hair that I know of. But then I thought of that something like Old Man Sea or Old Man of the Ocean or the Man of the Ocean Sea. I don't know. I know it's something along those lines, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, like an old dude, like an old sailor, like real cliche Poseidon stuff, like real cliche good stuff. But one thing I had to make sure I didn't forget, because I've done this before, is the prompt word. So the crustacean is krill, and I put millions of little dots in the background, and it turned out to be one of my favourite parts. It took a long time, but it looks like swarms of birds. It was pretty fun. I really enjoyed doing it. It took forever. But one thing I don't understand, I don't know what happened, but his arm is so small. like compared to his arm in the background, which is bigger than his arm in the foreground, which is very interesting, but it's so small compared to the proportions of his body. It's just severely small, like Nemo level, thin, small. It's tiny. I tried to beef it up a little bit and stretch it out, but it was going to look too weird. I just don't know what happened. So it's one of those fun little things that happen while you're drawing that you're just going to have to move on from. So next thing I did a really quick rough thumbnail, and surprisingly his arm is small in this as well. I don't know why, some sort of strange thing that's going on. And I didn't know what colours I was going to use, so I went in and just threw in some blues and greens to sort of mix together, but it was getting a bit swampy and gross. And I didn't really want to use blue again, because I used blue in the other one. So I think I ended up doing like a violet blue mixed with some red, and ooh, it looks good. So doing the thumbnail told me that I didn't want brown hair, didn't want to do a green yellowy top of the illustration, didn't want to do just a plain blue, and I think that's all I needed to get out of the thumbnail. So now onto painting, and I put the first layer down and I realized that I should cover the whole whale in masking fluid, and I haven't done a masking fluid section this big, and I wanted to time it to see how long it would take to dry, and it took about 15 minutes for it to dry because it's quite thick in some spots. But I just went down, did some yoga while I was waiting for it, and I time-lapsed it so you can have a look, and it really helped. Masking fluid is really handy. So I could just go over the whole thing with water, and any water that goes on this is like a rubber gluey solution that sort of dries like rubber, I guess, and everything just sits on top of it, so I can go over and play with my washes and not worry about damaging the clean whale. Lately I've been really trying to push my darks, like mine always seem to go much lighter than the photo reference I'm using. Obviously I'm not using a photo reference here, but I've been trying to do a lot of contrast, so something, I'm pretty sure contrast is like one side of it's dark and the other side of it's light or something, or if there's one thing lit up, I honestly don't know. So I've been playing around with that, and my illustrations are getting more interesting as backgrounds, because it looks like he's sort of in this sun-setting environment where there's like a whole bunch of different light in the sky, or he's in space, who knows. It's a whale human, could be anywhere. So I went in and gave red colour to the krill, because I'm assuming krill is red in this world, or if it is red, I think it's shrimps. But yeah, in this environment, krill is red, and it glows red when it's in the sun. Oh, and now comes the fun part, taking off the masking fluid. It actually took forever, and my hands were hurting by the end of it, and I tried an eraser, and that was like rubbing away the ink a little bit, so I didn't want to use that. It took so long to take this off. It's quite satisfying in sped up time though, but it took a really long time. But look how crispy clean that whale is. It is so clean compared to everything. It is so white and so clean. It is like, so satisfying when it's in this white character in this colourful background. I considered leaving it white, but I'd committed to it this far, and I wanted to go and colour it in, and it was really fun dropping colours all around it, because like whales are like different sort of tones, it's like white spots around the little bumpy bits and everything, so it's pretty interesting. So this is the first video I've tried editing on the new software I got on my laptop, because I'd been putting it off because I have no idea how to use it properly. There's so many extra things, like I'm just learning about keyboard shortcuts, which is quite fun because I'm like a technological dinosaur. But yeah, anyway, so then I got the paintbrush like sort of damp, and then rubbed it back and forth on the paper to pick up the pigment, and then dabbed it with a tissue to make these lines. So it's either like things are dropping in the water, or it's the sun rays reflecting through the water. Just adds some more things instead of just a boring background. So yeah, that's about it. I really enjoyed all of this. It's been quite fun. It's my first Mermay video, but anyway. It's taken a long time. Like, I haven't posted something in about 3 weeks. So I hope you have a bonza week and keep drawing.